For the last 10 years, I've been working with businesses all over the world. Some of them have been clothing lines, and some of them made the same mistake over and over again that I've noticed a pattern in. In some cases, those mistakes weren't that bad.
It's not that bad. Nobody got hurt.
But in others, they were catastrophic. So this is why I'm recording this video today, to help you avoid the same potential fate. So let's dive into it. So most business owners that start a clothing line think that they need a lot of different SKUs in order for them to become successful. And in some aspects, that makes a lot of sense. But it is a crippling decision that will end up costing you dearly if you don't manage the process. So if you start off with too many different SKUs, especially with clothing line, you're gonna have to have, let's say, the smallest to the biggest sizes, and then you're gonna have to keep multiples of them. So every time you have one product, it's not just one product, you're gonna have to have 10 to 20, 30 units at sometimes for each product in order for you to accommodate all of the sizes. So already the clothing line industry has that disadvantage compared to other e-com businesses or other sales businesses where you have one product, one SKU a lot of the time. The issue with that is that often business owners don't do any research, don't test anything, and just develop the designs because they think they're going to be amazing and they personally like them. And often enough, they sink in a lot of money that they cannot then get back, leaving their advertising to be mainly content and social media, stuff like that just doesn't give them enough flow through of traffic for them to actually get an understanding of what they need to do better. I'm going to later explain how to start off, how to test, and everything's going to make more sense. But the main downsides of having a lot of different SKUs is just the fact that you're going to sell out the best-selling products fast. And so you're going to have this oscillation moment where you're going to have a lot of sales that come in, and then the moment you don't have your best sellers, it's going to flatline, and then you're going to go crazy.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
So when you're starting off a clothing line, tip number 2 would be to have a good fast loop for your best sellers. Even if it costs you a lot more to get the products from either Mexico or somewhere in the United States or wherever you may be located compared to sourcing it from China, because they're your best sellers, they actually bring in a lot of that foot traffic that's gonna make people buy other stuff, potentially bundles, gifts, and stuff like that. But in the case that you lose the main appealing factor of your business, you would have a stagnant period in your business. Here's one example where we worked with pictures where exactly that happened. I told them on the first call, there's a high chance of us selling out the best sellers and then being in a problem if the products cannot be restocked fast enough. And then that happened. We covered the amount of SKUs, we covered the logistics loop so far. The third thing is going to be adding new products to the product line. Often enough, the moment you gain some stability, that's the moment that you want to add new products. The problem with that is that if you don't have a methodical approach on how to introduce new products to your product line or clothing line, you're just going to end up having, again, the same problem where you just keep expanding the SKU, keep expanding the amount of units that you keep in stock, which is going to end up being a bigger and bigger burden on your business financially. And often enough, it happens that then you don't have enough money to advertise and actually sell out the stock. So I'm going to give you some ideas on how to do it. I'm a big fan of doing limited edition series and doing product drops. Why? Because the moment you're doing something like that, you're not obliging yourself to your customers that you're going to keep this non-stop available. You either buy it now or never. And that's the point of the limited edition. So everybody gets the word the moment you say it. That gives you an option to decide later if you want to stock up the product, launch a similar product, or overall never touch it again. Because some products are simply not going to sell. And often enough, especially inexperienced business owners, don't factor that in, that you will have to have some stock that's just not gonna move. And then what will you do with that? So that's why for you as the business owner, it's always going to be a much safer option for you to start off with a product drop, hype it up, see how it sells out. And then if it's really good, you can do another product drop. If again it sells out, you can then make it a normal standard part of your inventory. I'll give an example where we worked for Roll & Lifestyle. We had an A2A jacket that sold for $808 and it sold out in record time. The reason why people keep coming to the website was to see if the jacket was back in store often enough. But that's how they saw a lot of the other merchandise and they ended up buying other stuff that was available. So having something like that, that's such a strong flagship product, is gonna end up making you a successful brand. Number 4, If you want to grow your business, you have to expand the value per sale. It's a standard e-commerce position where your goal is to be able to spend as much money as possible to acquire a new customer. Same goes for clothing lines as any other business. The thing is, you need to be smart about it. So if you just start adding random stuff and that doesn't make a lot of sense, people are not going to buy and you're going to again end up being stuck. So that's why sometimes businesses tend to venture in. So if you're a clothing line, you can partner up with a shoe line, make your custom combination shoe limited edition, test it out, see if people like the shoes, and then move forward from them. This is a simple way how to test the product without actually having to develop the logistics to develop the actual building of the product and still actually get the data from your customer base. Another thing you should look at often is bundling. So if you can develop something that makes a lot of sense, a full outfit or a couple of different combinations or sets of outfits that you can sell in a bundle, people are often going to go for buying that. That's going to enable you to actually get a lot more revenue per sale. Overall, if you're going to make more money per customer, why not? And the last tip for getting more out of your customers is actually offering gift wrapping. If you can sell your products as a gift, it doubles the utility of the product, which will make your product double useful for the user because they're not just shopping for themselves anymore the moment they notice you can do gift wrapping for them. And the last suggestion that I have, or tip, let's say, for any business owner is you need to build a database, remarket, and do follow-ups. A lot of the time, business owners go crazy about their brand that they started yesterday. They talk about they're never going to use discounts, they're never going to do this and that. They start putting all of these invented limitations to themselves and their business and often other marketing teams that makes it simply impossible to win the battle that's already uphill, which doesn't make sense at all. What I would look at the moment I start developing a brand is acquiring as much data on the people that buy it so I can understand more what they like, what they dislike, how to develop the future of the brand, and what else to do. That information is going to be worth more than gold. Besides that, remarketing doesn't necessarily need to be discounts. I do suggest developing a system how you're going to sell the stock that's not moving, either as a mystery gift, add it to bundles, give it away, I don't know, but you have to have a system if you don't want to use discounts. But the main point with that is do not be afraid to remind people that you exist. Don't expect that the algorithm is just going to love your brand and it's all going to happen magically. You're going to have to start spending money on advertisement. And of course, you can do a lot of social, you can do a lot of influencers, but at the end of the day, for you as a business owner, running ads is going to be one of the most stable sources of new customers and repeated revenue. So just because you started this hip fashion brand doesn't mean that you shouldn't have ads. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't run remarketing. Now, of course, there's a lot to get through to get to the point of running ads even for a clothing line. But I hope that these tips have helped you and that will make your decision making a little bit easier when you plan out the future of your business. Let me know in the comments if any of these tips helped, and if you know anyone that can benefit from this information, please send that to them because we're a small channel and we're just growing. Thank you very much for watching until the end. Please subscribe. Thank you.